Welcome to Spare Talk. This is Rod Weaver. Today is October 25th, 2024, and this is going to be another edition of the This Day in Bowling History. So let's get right to it. From the Lansing State Journal from 1987, headline is Brunswick Charges Ahead. And this will be a follow-up to the previous video about the ebonite manufacturing process for bowling balls. Muskegon plant cranks out some big numbers, by Kathleen Kerwin. Benjamin Henderson shepherds what looks like a dusty cannonball through a steamy miniature car wash and sends it on for belly buffing. A Brunswick bowling ball is born. Overhead, hundreds of balls shuttle past on a system of runners, wheels, pulleys, and chutes. Plant manager Charles Hostad, a Brunswick employee for 33 years, strolls with a visitor through the 1 million square foot plant, put under new management last year in an effort to perk up. A sagging score sheet. Hostad explains that the low-tech but largely automated manufacturing process starts with rolls of spongy, dirty white rubber. That's the stuff of which bowling balls traditionally are molded, although plastics, polyester, and urethane are becoming increasingly popular. One compound is used for the ball's core and another for its color. The ball is then ground smooth, sent for a logo engraving, and then off for another grinding. In the last step, belly buffing, workers hand polish balls cradled against their stomachs. The top of the line Rhino ball is a sleek sphere in subdued matte finished wine, gray or black, with orange lettering and a rhinoceros outline. It's a beast of a ball, proclaims Brunswick ads. Mystique matters in selling bowling balls. A Brunswick bowling ball weighs between 8 and 16 pounds. A new one can set you back from $19.95 for a starter celebrity model on sale at Kmart to $119.95 for the Rhino. Brunswick Corporation, a Skokie, Illinois-based public company, started out making billiard tables in 1845. It added bowling equipment in the 1890s and came to Muskegon on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan in 1906. Standard decor at the division's corporate offices is bowling pins and balls on desks, coffee tables, and filing cabinets. Executives consider the business highly competitive. Brunswick Bowling Division President Thomas White won't say how many units of any product his plants crank out or divulge the division's annual sales or profits for fear of tipping off competitors, he says. However, Adrian Tom, an analyst at the New York-based investment firm of Pershing & Company, estimates that the bowling division racked up 18% of Brunswick Corporation's total revenues of $1.7 billion last year, and 18% calculates to more than $300 million. White heads the new management team Brunswick, installed last summer to halt 6 years of losses. They hustled the Rhino onto the market in half the time a new product usually takes, and say they hope to have the division in the black by year's end. It's starting to look good from here, exults Brian Collins, marketing vice president. We're past survival and heading toward prosperity. Also from the Lansing State Journal from 1987, headline, Short Oil Adds Life to Old Timers' Roll. There are many pros and cons associated with the new 24-foot limited lane dressing rule. But for those who made their mark in Lansing area bowling when 200-plus averages were virtually unheard of, it has served as somewhat of a rejuvenation. It's giving bowlers a terrific shot, said Joe Joseph, who was recently inducted into the Greater Lansing Area Bowling Hall of Fame. The scoring conditions are unbelievable. They are setting records now that will be broken over and over again because of the conditions. It's just like the three-point shot in basketball or the livelier ball in baseball. Bowling deserves a break. Bowling is like any other sport where guys and girls like to score. Who knows? I wish I was in my prime to see what I could accomplish. Fellow Hall of Fame inductee Jack Curry has an idea. The way Joe Joseph bowled, he could have averaged 240 today, Curry said. He would have never missed the pocket. And what about Curry's game? I can only put it one way, Curry said. I'm 58 years old, and I'm averaging 221. I never averaged that much in my life. You're supposed to get worse as you get older. Tom McKay, an American Bowling Congress official, agreed with Curry. My bowling game is history now, McKay said, speaking at the recent induction banquet. As we get older, it gets harder, but the short oil is going to bring us all back. But as much as it's fun to score, it does present a problem in recognizing previous outstanding achievements. Here's a novelty article from the Messenger Inquirer from 1956. Water skis, duckpins, new sport on Ohio River. And the AP press release is from Louisville, Kentucky on this one. A new sport is throwing up some spray and some duckpins on the Ohio River. The spray is from water skis. The duckpins are like junior-sized bowling pins. And the sport is to try to stay on the water skis and juggle the duckpins in the air at the same time. The sport's inventor and #1 enthusiast is 37-year-old Stuart Sellers of nearby Jefferson, Indiana. The trick to ski juggling, or juggle skiing, is to keep the tow rope handlebar behind your legs so that your hands are free. Sellers says 3 tennis balls will do just as well as 3 duckpins for the juggling. He started juggling as a boy and started water skiing last July. He put the two together because his water skiing friends were always trying to do something different on skis. Now the newspaper composing room employee plans a refinement on his sport for next summer. I'm going to try it on 1 ski instead of 2 and juggling one-handed. From the Toronto Star from the year 1989, headline is Bowling Sees Death Knell in Sales Tax. And the article starts off, the nation's 650 bowling alley owners say Ottawa's proposed goods and services tax will mean the death of bowling in Canada. In a brief to be presented to Don Blenkarn's Commons Finance Committee last night, Harry Fine, Vice President of the Bowling Proprietors Association of Ontario, said the 9% tax would represent a knockout punch to the industry. He said the impact on bowling's price-sensitive customer base would place the sport's survival in jeopardy. Bowling is the sport of the common man, seniors, youth, and the disabled, Fine said. Bowling in Canada cannot continue to withstand the pressures of higher prices and decreased revenues. Fine said an economic impact study conducted by his association predicts that bowling participation could fall by as much as 15% in 1 year, and the federal government would lose tax revenue as a result. The facts suggest that recreation, particularly bowling, is extremely price sensitive. Nobody has to bowl to survive. Fine's statement said proprietors who try to collect and remit this tax on top of the base price would probably go out of business. Fine also said the GST proposal is undermining the government's national physical fitness policy. We don't think any part of the sport should be taxed, he said in an interview. The federal government has gone to great lengths to encourage participation, and now they levy a tax that will discourage it. Despite these dire predictions and a long-term decline in the number of bowlers over the past 20 years, bowling remains a tremendously popular pastime in Canada. An estimated 2.5 million Canadians bowl at least once a year and 1.2 million bowl at least once a week. Another news item from Canada, from the Windsor Star from 1980. The headline is, YBC one of best bowling buys around. And the article goes, the Youth Bowling Congress started with an enrollment of 7,000 five-pin bowlers in 1963. Today, more than 73,000 bowlers are involved, including close to 400 youngsters in the Windsor area. Windsor's five-pin youth program is close to capacity. Alda Pavin, the lady in charge of the program at Palladium Recreation, says she has no more openings this year, and Mary Story at Parkview Lanes says Parkview has nearly all it can handle too. The program has been a great success. We have a tremendous program, says Pavin. I had to cut entries off because I just don't have the space. Windsor has 22 lanes for five-pin bowlers, 12 at Parkview and 10 at Palladium. That doesn't leave too much room for youngsters to bowl on Saturday mornings with the YBC. The YBC has headquarters in Toronto and includes leagues from every province in the country. It started in Ontario and spread like wildfire. In Windsor, for a $2 weekly tab, youngsters reap big benefits. The fee covers bowling fees and provides a shirt, achievement crests, and a banquet. The YBC runs numerous tournaments throughout the year, the most notable being the 4 Steps to Stardom tournament. That begins with a house qualifying round in February and runs through zone, provincial, and national finals. The YBC was designed for bowlers 8 to 17 years old, but Windsor's program includes a jet division for 5 to 8-year-olds at Palladium and a major division for 18 to 30-year-olds at Parkview. Although Parkview has just about all it can handle, Story says, that is Mary Story, says she'll always accept new bowlers. I never turn a child away, she said. They might not be able to be put on a team right away, but they'll bowl regardless and be eligible for the awards. YBC bowlers strive for achievement awards, badges which they can show off by sewing them on their shirts. Shirts are supplied by sponsors. Coaching is also provided by the parents and recognized YBC master bowlers who attend special coaching classes. Over the years, the program has made tremendous strides, said Pavin. We have a good instruction program, and some of our coaches have even taken courses offered on university campuses. The YBC season runs from September until May. National finals this year are set for May 1 through 3 in Edmonton. From the year 1952, the Washington Daily News reports in the headline, "Now is the time to act in news people's play." And the article goes, the first week of the News and People's Drugstore Tournament's qualifying round is on its way out tonight, but it's no time for you low-average bowlers to be feeling put out for not having tried. You still have 2 weeks in which to attempt to qualify in the News People's Play, which continues qualifying round action through Sunday, November 9th. If you roll in 2 or 3 leagues, you still have 4 or 6 shots remaining, and it doesn't cost you a cent extra to roll in the News People's Scrap. To enter, all you have to do is drop by any of the many conveniently located People's drugstores and pick up a News People's Tournament entry blank from the clerk at the cigar counter. Properly fill out the blank and turn it in to the floorman at your alley before you roll your league match. Men with averages under 100 and women with marks under 92 are eligible for the News People's Play, providing they roll in leagues at Washington Duckpin Operators Association alleys. Bowlers may roll in the qualifying round as many times as they roll in WDOA leagues between now and November 9th. There's a full handicap for all shooters from 100 scratch. The top 50% of those who fire in the qualifying round will move on to the finals, time and place of which will be announced later. From the Evening Sun from 1947, here's a few duckpin-related items. Toots Barger and Mike Larenta now can boast movie careers. They journeyed to Boston earlier this month and were filmed in a bowling short due for midwinter exhibition in the nation's theaters. Next item. Walter Krzyzewski of New Haven has been named Tournament Bowler of the Year for the 1946-47 season. He had the honor coming to him, too, for he won 5 major events, including the United States Classic at Atlanta, worth a cool $1,000, and crashed 7 other prize lists. His other victories came in the John Dennis in Washington, the Newfield and Holland Opens in Bridgeport, and the New England Classic at Lawrence, Massachusetts. Biggest field he beat was the 217-man Dennis lineup. Walt averaged 128.71 for his season's work, but was unranked because his work prevented him from engaging in league play. And another item. Martin Rusin has installed the Magic Eye foul line at both Dundalk and Patterson, and it is making his patrons foul line conscious because he uses the eye all the time for both league and open play. So I guess that was a new innovation right along the time when they had the introduction of foul lines, but they also would use foul line judges. So that sounds like they were just going full electronic at that stage. From the Evening Sun from 1984, the headline goes, NBC TV utilizes PBA Tour. The saturation of college and professional football on television moved NBC to air professional bowling on Saturday afternoons for the first time in 20 years. Last week, the network telecast the first of 7 Professional Bowling Association Fall Tour matches from San Antonio, Texas, opposite West Virginia's upset of Boston College, Virginia's win over Wake Forest, and UCLA's victory over California. These were all on the ABC and CBS networks. Bowling is a great alternative to college football, said Glenn Adamo, producer of the program. It is a sport that is more identifiable to people than college football. Adamo said ratings for last Saturday's programming will be released today. He and PBA spokesman Bud Fisher feel the new program, hosted by retired star Earl Anthony and announcer Jay Randolph, will put a dent in football ratings. Fisher cited the success of the PBA Winter Tour on ABC TV. Fisher said over 15 million people watched the Winter Tour, which is number 1 in the 3:30 to 5 o'clock time slot, when other networks are showing regional college basketball games and pro golf. It was ABC's success with the PBA that led NBC executives to approach the Bowling Association about airing the fall tour. Except for bowl games, NBC chose to avoid the football scramble after the Supreme Court ruled the NCAA could not monopolize the televising of college games. And then another item from the same newspaper, from the same edition. Anita Rothman, 37 years of age, an 8th grade math teacher at Hamilton Middle School, broke the women's duckpin record with a 583 three-game total on October the 8th. A member of the Middlesex Major Mixed Leagues at Middlesex Fairlanes, Rothman felt it was going to be her night. I knew that I was throwing the ball well, said Rothman, who topped the previous mark of 578. I just kept right on going. Sometimes it is hard to get a high score when bowling duckpins. After rolling a 233 in the first set, she posted a 172 and 178. A duckpin bowler for 15 years, Rothman is known throughout the area as a clutch performer. She is a member of the Women's Pro Duckpin Tour and usually averages about 144. Her previous best 3-game set was a 526 with a game-high 218. For topping 215, Rothman won $300. And lastly, from the Times Herald from 1932, Star Penman of Nation to Roll by Gino Simi. Here you are, stars, superstars, and near stars of duckpindom. Here is the announcement you have been waiting for. The second annual Washington Times Dixie Sweepstakes for the individual championship of the South will be held on Saturday, November 19th. It is open to all duckpin bowlers of the country. It is the test of duckpin tests. 15 games in one day, rolled in 3 different plants. The severest duckpin trial in the annals of the game. Well, the opening block will be at Pop Holly's historic Recreation Alleys at 11:30 a.m. The second 5 games will be rolled at Charlie Bell's spacious convention hall plant, and the final set at Monk Frazier's Arcadia, 3 of the city's classiest and best-known bowling plants. Record feats galore have been registered in all 3 places, and they have been the sites of many of the country's major bowling spectacles. The entry fee to the stakes is $28. First prize is expected to be $500, and the victor will receive a handsome diamond-studded medal. No bowler who considers himself of top-notch caliber can afford to miss the Dixie. It is a golden opportunity for local bowlers. It will be the only nationally important bowling event listed in Washington this season, and it is the first big stellar attraction on the national calendar. The winner will be off to a flying start toward a number 1 U.S. ranking. He will have the inside track on his many rivals. Ali Piscini, last year's winner, went on to gain recognition as the country's premier maple spiller. The outstanding shooters of Baltimore, Richmond, Norfolk, Annapolis, Roanoke, Atlanta, Georgia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and other points south are expected to participate in large numbers. Last year's event drew a fine field from these sections. A strong representation is awaited from New England, including such far-famed performers as Nick Tronsky, Bill Tato, Mike Bogino, Jim Allende, Louis Catelli, Jack White, Carl Frisky, and Babe Dugas. So I guess that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and remember to hit the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified of future videos similar to this one. Have a great evening, and I will see you at the next video.